You know, I've really enjoyed playing The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild recently. I feel like it's given new life to the series, moving away from the predictable formula we're all used to. Now, whether that's a good thing or not is a completely different discussion, but because of how new the adventure felt, it really reminded me of the first Zelda game I ever played. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. My first Zelda game was The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, specifically Link's Awakening DX. The original was the first Zelda game to be on a handheld system, with the DX version to come out 5 years later. You take the role of this game's Link, though in my game, I like to play the true hero of all. Strange that I know your name, eh? It was on the back of your shield. Allow me to return it to you. Truly the hero this land deserves. We find ourselves sailing in the middle of a terrible storm when suddenly lightning strikes, throwing us onto a nearby beach, only to be found by someone moments later. You wake up in a nearby village, retrieve your shield from the guy in the house and your sword from the nearby beach. And now you're ready to go on an adventure! But wait, a little owl friend wants to tell us something.
A poisonous snake!
We are then left to our own devices to explore and figure out our purpose. So, naturally, I go to the first store I find and rob the shit out of that place. 200 rupees for a shovel, I mean, come on. We take the north exit from town to go to... Oh, here we go. This is gonna happen through the entire game, isn't it? We make our way through the mysterious forest and stumble across a mushroom. Continuing through, we soon find a witch's hut to trade the mushroom for some magic powder. Hey look, a chest with a key in it. I wonder where... God damn it, you stupid owl! Leave me alone! Calm down, mate, I'm only trying to help. Oh! Back near the beach, there is a weird cave with a keyhole. Insert the key and enter the first dungeon. Now, it's this kind of exploration that will continue as you play throughout the game. You get some hints to where to go next, but overall, you explore the world, finding these areas you need to go to progress. You'll also find other areas where you can't do anything yet that you have to come back to later with the items you gather over time. This game is a lot more linear than the original Zelda, but still gives you a small feeling of freedom, even though you are basically doing things in the order the game wants you to by telling you where your destination is, but not how to get there, leaving you to wander around and get a feel for the overworld, most likely running into the various little extras as you explore. Where the game does gate you though is just before the third dungeon, and it gates you with something that you may have originally thought was completely optional. Now there is a high chance you started this questline by accident, purely because you spoke to all the townsfolk and bought pretty much anything you could anyway, but there is a chance you could miss this completely if you're not careful. It's a chain of fetch quests you need to follow. First starting with the Yoshi Doll in the Crane Game shop. You get the doll, hand it over to the family in the house north of the town to get the bow. You then take the bow to the little chain chomp Bow Wow, which trades it for some canned food. That then has to be taken to the croc living on the beach who loves to collect canned foods. He trades this for a bunch of bananas, which is what we need to give to the hungry monkey in order for him to call his friends to build you a bridge that you need to progress the game.
I got a stick.
I wish I had that many friends. In replaying the game, I actually completely forgot this chain of events was a needed task to progress. It seems optional until you're met with a situation that has no solution if you've not been doing this quest line. It's actually rather annoying that it's like this, and feels like it was put in to pad out the game, especially if you didn't start doing it until this point, but honestly I don't know. The bridge is built and a stick is left behind which continues the chain.
I like sticks.
We'll get onto that later, but we can continue on from here. Our main goal overall is to go from dungeon to dungeon collecting instruments, 8 in total, and we've been instructed to collect them all to wake up the Great Windfish. At around dungeon 6, we begin to piece together the true meaning behind this mysterious island we've landed on. Turns out Koholint Island, the hell kind of name is that, is all a dream world being created by the Windfish, and that waking it up would make everything disappear, perhaps including Link. Since the instruments in the dungeons are such a big part of the game, let's take a little time to go over them. Something to note is when you go inside the dungeon, you can explore a nice chunk of it with the items you start off with. And about halfway, you usually get a special item that allows you to do the puzzles that you couldn't do with what you started with. Dungeon 1, Tail Cave, is of course your basic learn how to dungeon, with basic enemies and traps. But strangely enough, you get the Roc's Feather in it, which looking back is odd to me since in later titles the ability to jump is normally pushed back really far. The boss is Muldoom, an annoying worm-like boss which can push you into a... oh god! Are those hanging skeletons? Jesus, Nintendo, when did you get so brutal? He goes down pretty easily, and you nab yourself a Chalo. Dungeon 2, Bottle Grotto, is where you can acquire the power bracelet, so expect to throw a lot of pots, including the genie boss. Just chuck his bottle around, he's easy.
Let me smash.
Move on, grab your horn. Dungeon 3. Key Cavern requires you to get a slime key from a castle before you can enter. This is where the first side quest gate was. Build that bridge, go to the castle and collect the golden feathers for Richard, and he gives you the key to enter. Inside we have various puzzles built around the Pegasus boots, with the boss being the Slime Eye. Gotta hit this guy apart and run through the middle to split him up, then take him out as normal. You got yourself a bell. Dungeon 4, Angler's Tunnel, is the water-themed dungeon, with a bunch of water all over the place. You can't really get anywhere until you get yourself the flippers. Though the boss in this level is a side-scrolling underwater fight, though not a hard one. Attacking and moving out of the way once in a while will allow you to get the harp in no time. We don't talk about the time I died to this boss though.
Not ever.
Dungeon 5, the Catfish's Maw. Even though underwater has very little water in it at all, and is the level you find the hookshot in, though you have to chase around a skeleton mini-boss to get at this one. With it, you pull out the boss from the dungeon to hit its weak spot for massive damage, and get yourself a marimba? What the hell is that? Oh, okay, so basically a xylophone. Dungeon 6, Face Shrine, is where you power up your power bracelet to go even further beyond. Which is weird considering the boss of this dungeon, Facade, or whatever, is beaten by putting bombs on their stupid smug face. Got myself a triangle. Dungeon 7, Eagle's Tower, is a tricky dungeon that needs you to throw an orb at pillars to bring the platform you fight the boss on to climbing level. From this dungeon, you get the Mirror Shield, and fight a boss which can fling you off and be a right pain in the ass. Especially since I'm not 100% sure if he gets his health back or not. Defeat this boss, Link then grabs his organ. Dungeon 8, the final dungeon. Turtle Rock. This dungeon will really test you on everything you've learned up to this point, needing you to pay attention to your surroundings and the dungeon itself to get hints on how to progress. Bombable walls, looping rooms, puzzles and riddles you need to figure out to beat this last challenge. You get yourself a magic wand, able to set things on fire and melt ice. The boss is just a big fire monster that is probably the easiest boss in the game. You get the drum, our final instrument. You make your way to the egg that lays atop the tallest mountain in the game to awake the windfish, only to find you have one more enemy ahead of you, the Nightmare. Oh, but hang on, there's like a Lost Woods thing going on here. I have no idea how to progress. Well, there was that one book in the library that I couldn't... Oh no. I have to continue the fetch quests, don't I? Yep, the fetch quest continues, though a lot of these are actually a lot more simple and a lot closer together. But you need to do this because the last item you get is a magnifying glass that you require to read the book that tells you the correct direction to go in this maze. Considering there really isn't any other optional quests though, overall I let this thing slide because it's just something you do as well as the main campaign, and for a lot of it you just head to those locations anyway. Complaints end here. Now let's beat that maze and fight the Nightmare. Now this is a final boss. Multiple phases that require you to think on your toes and try all possible options to damage him. Maybe arrows. Do I have to rebound their attack back at them? Will a charge attack work? This guy has like 5 forms and all of them are an awesome test of everything you've learned and got. You beat the boss, wake up the windfish, and kill everyone you've met in the process. You wake up, lucky to not be dead from drowning, and the game is over. Man, Link's Awakening is huge! Like seriously, I forgot how big this game was for a Game Boy game, and honestly, it's still a lot of fun and holds up nicely. I do not miss only being limited to A and B for items though, and overall, the game is a fun challenge, and it's definitely up there as one of my favorite Zelda games. The highlight for me was the fact that during my playthrough for the video, I actually had never heard of the Color Dungeon. This was a dungeon that was specifically added to Link's Awakening DX, and it was really refreshing to go through a dungeon I'd never experienced before in a game that I've had since I was very young. Even though the boss of that dungeon's a bit stupid, it's all about rapid hitting and basically squishing yourself between it and the wall, but beating that dungeon allows you to upgrade your tunic to either a defensive mode or an offensive mode. I picked offensive, but apparently you can go back and change it whenever you want, and that is just really awesome. But things don't end there. Something I found out years later changed the way I enjoy Link's Awakening. Or as I like to call it, Link's Awakening! What just happened? This game has some glitches. The original version has the map warp, but that isn't what I'm talking about this time. All you have to do is enter the doghouse from the top instead of the front, and welcome to the world of... Before I go on, I must warn, I have been told in the past this is not good for your cart. I can't confirm it's true, so really I'm only suggesting you do this on emulator unless you have extra copies to burn. Do this on your cartridge at your own risk. Trying to enter the glitch realm straight away only teleports you to the swamp area. You first need to get your sword and shield and kill a few enemies. Depending on how many enemies you kill will change how the glitch realm will react, making certain things solid and some not. I've been told this is because of some variable that changes when you attack things, but I don't know the full science behind it. From here you can just explore, going around into various rooms from all sorts of dungeons. Tiles get all messed up, enemies can be made up of all kinds of objects and NPCs, and if you're really lucky, you can get yourself some items early too. Using this method, you can get the Roc's Feather right after getting your sword by going up just a few screens. A certain number of kills before entering the glitch will actually teleport you to a strange version of the doghouse, where from here you can zip around. The interesting thing about this is if you get the Roc's Feather from before, grab some powder from the crane game, steal the shovel and bow from the shop, you are pretty much set up to beat the final boss, which using the zip methods, you can get to the final boss. Though I'm not one skilled enough to beat it at this point just because of that dang rebound phase. But I have seen it done before, and it's really cool. And that was my very first Zelda game. Honestly, it was super impressive for the system. I'm still glad after all this time it still holds up as one of the greats. But I'd love to know what you think of the Zelda series. Have you played the games before? And if so, which one was your first? I'd love to know. But until next time, thank you for watching Pixelated Memories. Now where's that owl? Thank you all for watching Pixelated Memories. Special thanks to all involved here, as well as my Patreons as well. And hey guys, if you want to help out Pixelated Memories, I've actually changed and simplified a lot of the Patreon stuff as well, so go check it out. But if you enjoyed this episode, by all means, subscribe for more and throw us a like. I think it helps out. But hey, if you want to check out any other videos, two will be displayed on the screen, or if you look in the links below, you can find my gaming channel. Thank you and goodbye.